Hey guys, Spencer here. Today I'll be teaching you how to create the Star Wars opening crawl in Adobe After Effects in a 4K 2.35:1 aspect ratio. Click here to see what the finished video will look like. To begin, create a new composition. Change the width to 4096 pixels and the height to 1743 pixels for a 4K resolution. If you would like this to be set in 1080p, change the width to 1920 pixels and the height to 817 pixels. Use square pixels, 24 frames per second, and make the length of the composition 7 seconds and 7 frames. Click OK. Use the type tool and type a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, followed by 4 dots. Break off after the first far. Set the font at a size of 196 pixels. And left align the entire text. Set the font Franklin Gothic Book, which should be pre-installed on Windows computers. Set the color to a hex value of 4B D5EE. Now, highlight the entire text. Change the tracking value to 47. Highlight the ellipses and change tracking value to 125. Select the lower line and change the baseline shift to -29 pixels. Position the text at 648.7, 774.6 pixels. These positions are based on the 4K dimensions, and we have to adjust if your comp is 1080p. Now, create a black solid by going to Layer, New, Solid. Click Make Comp Size and set the color to black.
Move the solid below the text layer.
Finally, let's fade the text in and out. Go to the 1 second mark and create a keyframe. Set the opacity to 0. Next, go to the 1 second, 9 frame mark. Set the opacity to 100. At the 5 second, 21 frame mark, set the opacity to 0. At the 11 frame mark, set the opacity to 100. Now you're done with this composition. The length of the next composition depends on the length of your crawl. Each crawl has 3 paragraphs, each with 6 or 7 lines. Each line has 4 or 5 words, or 30 characters each. After you have created your crawl, count the number of lines you have, including the blank ones in between the paragraphs. Using the patterns from the original trilogy, I have created an equation to figure out the length of your composition. Multiply the number of lines you have by 88, then add 250. This gives you the number of frames you have in your composition at 24 frames per second. For example, the New Hope crawl has 21 lines, so I have 2098 frames in my composition. Enter that into the duration box in the rightmost field. Use the same dimensions as before, and name the comp Crawl and Logo. Create a second comp with the same setting by duplicating it or hitting Ctrl D, and name that Crawl Precomp. We'll be working with the crawl and logo composition first. Begin by creating a new black solid, comp size. Next, create a gray solid with a hex value of 36, 36, 36. Click on it and go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise. Change the contrast to 250 and the brightness to -200. Go to Transform and set the scale to 1. To make the stars more visible while viewed at lower resolutions, increase the contrast to 550 or higher, the brightness to -190 or higher, and the scale to 2 or higher. Next, insert the Star Wars logo, which I have linked to in the description. Make the layer 3D and scale it to 56%. Make its position 2078.8, 875.3, 0 at the beginning of the composition. Keyframe this. 10 frames later, change the Y value to 858.6 and the Z value to 2317.7. At the 1 second, 20 frame mark, change the Y value to 805.3 and the Z value to 17,449. At 4 seconds, 15 frames, the Y value is 611.3, and the Z value is 70,000. At the 11-second, 20 frame mark, change the Y to 339.3 and the Z to 160,000. This creates the exponential pushback in the New Hope logo. Finally, at the 12-second, 9 frame mark, change the Y to 37.3 and the Z to 180,000. Now we'll make the logo fade out. Go to the 8-second, 7 frame mark, keyframe the opacity to 100. At the 12-second, 7 frame mark, set to 0. Optionally, if you would like, add the Star Wars theme song at the beginning of this composition. Drag the crawl pre-comp composition into the timeline and open it. Create a square text layer that nearly takes up the entire composition using the type tool. Type in your episode number. Set the font to Franklin Gothic Demi, which should be pre-installed on your computer. Set the size to 215 pixels, the vertical scale to 110, and the horizontal scale to 90. Center the text. Set the color to a hex value of E5B13A. Hit enter 3 times so that there are 2 empty lines. On the 3rd line, type in your title in all caps. Set the font to Universe LT49 Ultra Cadence. This is linked to in the description to download. Set the size to 475 pixels and the vertical scale to 150, the horizontal scale to 80. Keep this centered with the same color. Change font size to 190.
In the font to SW12 body.
And hit enter 3 times, creating 2 empty lines. Finally, type in your call text or paste it in. Omit any special formatting by changing the height to 100% and the horizontal scale to 100% as well. It should be 3 paragraphs, all wrapped with the justify last left option. That's this icon right here. Make the text layer 3D.
And set the X rotation to -76 degrees. Adjust position and the X value as needed, so that the text is just off the edge of the screen.
Set the Y value to 1500 and the Z value to -3200. At the 9-second, 3 frame mark, set a keyframe. Create a new adjustment layer by going to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. Add a ramp to the layer by going to Effect, Generate, Ramp. Change the start ramp color to black and use the eyedropper tool to set the end color to the color of your text. Set the start of the ramp to a value of 125.2. Set the Y value for end of the ramp to 436.2. Now, go to the end of your composition. Create a keyframe for position by dragging the Y all the way to the back until your text is no longer visible.
If you have ellipses at the end of the curve, select them and set the retractor value to 125.
Additionally, create a keyframe for opacity by setting it to 0. Now go back 24 frames for 1 second and set the opacity to 100. Now, you should assemble these parts, and now you are done. You can use this using software like Premiere Pro or Windows Movie Maker after you have rendered those parts. Alternatively, create a new composition. Set the duration of this composition to approximately 4 minutes or something long. Piece together your first composition and the crawl logo composition by setting it 1 frame next to each other. Reduce the decomposition to the correct size, then render it. You should now be done. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more Star Wars videos from me, click on that subscribe button to see what reviews, and tutorials I'll be posting on Tuesdays. If you would like an easier version of this tutorial, one that you can create in Windows Movie Maker, click on that button over there. If you'd like to see what the crawls rendered in 4K will look like, click on this icon right here.